Do you feel the vibes?
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Profanity Alert. I don't know what I was going to call this, State of the fucking Union or Profanity Alert, but I don't know, it's just some collection of news because the news is just moving so fast these days that you can't really keep up with it all. But I just want to share some articles with you that I thought were funny, I thought were scary, interesting, and then I want to share some good news because, you know, a lot of news is bad, right? They might as well call it bad news, not just news. So I want to share some good news at the end here, but we'll talk about a little bit about this here with Jack Dorsey. Kind of started off weird, then we'll get even weirder, then we'll get absurd, then we'll go into James Comey, Michael Cohen, Michael Flynn. We'll talk about the border wall a little bit, then we'll get into some good news. So starting here, Jack Dorsey apparently sent some of his beard hair to this rapper, this performer, Azealia Banks, and the purpose was for Azealia Banks to make him a magical amulet to protect him from evildoers. Okay, this is the CEO of Twitter, or the founder of Twitter and Square, right? The payment processor. This guy is like mega rich and very powerful as far as influence, and he's sending his beard hair to Azealia Banks, who is like a self-proclaimed witch, to make him a magical amulet. Apparently he got into some shit with ISIS, like they threatened him. But listen to these conversations. They're just hysterical, all right? Jack Dorsey, this is Azealia Banks. Jack Dorsey asked me to tweet about his Cash App, that's Square. In exchange that he was supposed to tweet about my mixtape. He never did, complained Banks in April 2016. He also sent me his hair in an envelope because I was supposed to make him an amulet for protection. I'm about to hex this, and she continued, adding, I have 3 strands of billionaire's hair. I should steal his luck. After people doubted Banks' claims, she declared, he did. I'm searching for the envelope. I'm a real witch with real clients. People pay me for my services. He owes. Alright, the post no longer exists following Banks' permanent suspension from Twitter in May 2016. A month after this whole thing started on Twitter, right? Until apparently Jack Dorsey's magical amulet deal went south. Azealia Banks gets suspended on Twitter. I mean, that circumstantial evidence, but geez. Then she goes on to talk about, alright, here we go. I mean, this is just interesting. At the time, Banks said Dorsey promised to promote her mixtape, Slays, in exchange for promoting his cash transfer app, Square, and for crafting him a magical amulet to protect him from ISIS, which had threatened Dorsey in a video earlier that year. Dorsey never tweeted about the project and presumably never received the amulet. It appears Bilton never pursued the rumor, but it seems like a weird thing for a Dorsey colleague to fabricate. He continued, I choose to accept this as more of an indication of Banks' impressive reporting, blah, 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 on the strange life of billionaires. But apparently this lady goes on to talk about Elon Musk, and so here you go. In August, Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk deleted his Instagram account following a series of strange accusations from Banks, including blackmail, after the rapper alleged to have spent time in Musk's home. Alright, according to NME, Banks claimed that she had waited at Elon Musk's home while she awaited the opportunity to record with Grimes. Apparently Elon Musk had a girlfriend that was a recording artist or something. That's what I'm getting. After Grimes allegedly didn't turn up, however, Banks started to release screenshots of alleged messages between her and Grimes, during which Grimes said Musk has a fake made-up accent, a giant, and that he got into weed because of me. Alright, then there's a video. Alright, if you guys want, I'm going to leave the links to all these articles. There's a video of this lady. Apparently she sacrifices chickens in closets in some kind of like crazy ritual. I mean, this is just crazy. The stuff that these people are into is just out of control. I mean, this guy's sending her his beard hair. She makes magical amulets and sacrifices chickens in closets. Damn, man. But we're gonna go from the weird to the absolutely absurd. All right. Now, this is an article about an 11-year-old, the 11-year-old drag kid. Okay, Desmond is amazing. All right, he got famous, right? He walked in like the gay parade, and he's into drag, and he like started when he was like 8 or 9, and like apparently he's like this sensation. I mean, it's just appalling what's going on here. All right, now I'm going to go through this article pretty thoroughly because I just think it needs to be done. This kid, let's just get into it. 11-year-old performer. This is at InfoWars. So for all you people who think Alex Jones is a madman, all right, he's awesome. Alex Jones is the man. All right, he's a little crazy sometimes, but I mean, he's just, you try to build what he built from the ground up, right? InfoWars is a great platform. All right, people call it infotainment, right? Because they are entertaining, but their news is on point. Right, most of the time their news is on point. They don't blatantly lie. They don't put out fake news like MSNBC and CNN. All right, so you know. But here you go. Here's an example. Right, they're getting the truth out there. So 11-year-old performs in drag on stage at New York City gay club. Okay, adult patrons throw money at this. This is a boy. This is an 11-year-old boy. Okay, adults are throwing money at him on stage. Okay, now apparently this event was headlined. This is a, you know, like a club promo. Club Whoa, Desmond is amazing, performing live. Okay, gay bar in New York hosted an event early this month which 11-year-old cross-dresser performed on stage while patrons throw money at him. The point here is that this stuff is being not only accepted but like promoted by people, and it's crazy. Like, it's really scary because this is child abuse. All right, this kid was on Good Morning America, like, you know, doing his thing, and he's just a kid. 11-year-old boy. The $3 Bill Gay Club in Brooklyn sold tickets to the Club Whoa show event on Eventbrite for $15, promising 11-year-old drag kid Desmond Naples, aka Desmond is Amazing, would headline the event. That's so weird. That's so weird. Subsequent video and photos of the event on Instagram and Reddit show Desmond indeed performed dressed up as No Doubt's Gwen Stefani, while men threw money at him on stage. And here he is with the money. And he definitely is dressed up like Gwen Stefani. That's a little boy, dude. That's a little boy. Right, now if this kid's, you got to see the Twitter stuff here. Reactions to the performance range from disgust to outrage. Some people will be asking if the club will be investigated for promoting pedophilia, while others urged Child Protective Services to take action. 10-year-old kid shouldn't be performing at any gay bar, gay or straight. He should be at home playing with Legos and riding his bike, or at a dance class for kids, not being sexually groomed. This is child abuse. Reads top voted comment. Now, I mean, these comments, listen to these comments. This isn't trashy. It's child abuse. If this were a 10-year-old girl at any other club, Child Protective Services would already be there. Another keen Redditor commented, okay, I left after seeing a child dance on stage for money at nighttime. This was Saturday night, and I've been feeling disturbed ever since. Okay, maybe that was from someone that was actually there. I mean, you could go here. I'll leave this article too, and you could read all these Twitter threads, but I just want to read this one because it makes a good point. Writing at louderwithcrowder.com, Courtney Kershaw made the connection between the left's promotion of drag kids and the creeping normalization of pedophilia. And this is where I think this is where I think it's going. I mean, it's crazy. I don't care if you're gay, straight, or wish to marry a potato. I haven't read this yet. If you went to this event, if you watched a child perform sexually, if you gave him money for it, if you think his mother is anything other than the handmaiden of Satan for encouraging, allowing, and making this event happen, you are everything wrong with our species. Further, if you shrug your shoulders and dismiss this, if you say it's the child's choice to perform like this, that we shouldn't opine, I don't even know, if we shouldn't opine on what is happening to Desmond Naples and every other child being exploited by his or her parents and our current culture of anything goes, right? That's the postmodernistic way of thinking. You are everything wrong with humanity. I mean, she just lashed into him. I mean, look at this. She started a GoFundMe for him. All right, this kid's probably going to make millions of dollars. Nothing wrong with that. But I mean this. Look at this video. I'm going to play this, but I'll probably record it and just cut it in if the sound doesn't come out right. I was sent this video where Desmond appears with an adult and repeats the phrase LGBTQ. That P stands for pedophilia. The adult discusses taking ketamine. An 11-year-old Desmond sniffs an imaginary bump off his arm. Where is Child Protective Services? Let's see if this plays. Ketamine's a drug that like people take in like gangbangs and shit. They take the ketamine, it numbs them up.
Everyone can do drag.
Everyone.
Your mom can do drags. 1488. Oh, sorry. It's just like all slack, okay?
1488.
It was only $400 off. There's no genders. You can be male, female, any or none. Only U.S. people can have a bunch of made-up genders.
That's not true at all.
No. Oh my
They
God,
are.
Hitler was right.
What? See,
Bella
All right.
Noche, putting the P in LGBTP plus. You should eat
I
some
don't know what
foods,
that means.
little nibba.
But I'm getting hate comments. Does this mean I'm famous now?
Is this what he wants? Lots of
Wow.
respect, guys. Thank you. Press G to gas. G. 1, 2, 3, 4, G. What has this world come to? It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
And people do ketamine on a couch.
How old is your
Oh my
BF?
God.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hitler was right. Helicopter rides. Yay. How old is your BF? Hello.
Yeah.
Hitler was right. It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
And people do ketamine on a couch.
Wow. How does this kid know about ketamine and that you snort it? That's creepy, man.
How old is
All right, so yeah, this is crazy. It's getting out of control. All right. So from weird to weirder to the absolute absurd, we now have the Financial Times names George Soros Person of the Year. This is as crazy as ESPN giving Kate Jenner or Bruce Jenner the what was it, the Woman of the Year award. All right, so George Soros, for those of you who don't know, is basically Emperor Palpatine. Okay, Chancellor Palpatine. This guy is the antithesis to populism, nationalism, and individual freedoms. Okay, he basically is the worst person in the world. All right, but the Financial Times wants to promote him to Person of the Year because he hates Donald Trump, and that's basically it. Financial Times named 88-year-old left-wing billionaire George Soros Person of the Year for 2018, calling him standard bearer of liberal democracy and open society. Right? He's for open borders. He's for, like, he bets against nations' currencies. All right. Now you could read all this article, and they praise him, they laud over him, they call him. Okay, so here you go. For more than 3 decades, Mr. Soros has used philanthropy to battle against authoritarianism, racism, and intolerance. Through his long commitment to openness, media freedom, and human rights, he has attracted the wrath of authoritarian regimes, increasingly the national populace who continue to gain ground, particularly in Europe. Alright, so basically, he's against populism. And we all know that there's a huge populist movement in the world right now. People being elected all across the world who are populists. Okay? And this is the guy who is their idol. This is their hero of basically communism. This guy wants to consolidate power. He wants all of it for himself and his inner circle. Let's just read this real quick. Soros began hacking a variety of groups whose tactics and ideology corroded liberal democracy rather than making it stronger, especially in the United States. Polarization, tribalization, partisanship, and general breakdown in civic discourse are all serious problems in America right now, but they are hardly the exclusive preserve of the American right. And to the extent that these baleful phenomena manifest themselves on the American left, George Soros must answer for some of the damage. Soros was an early backer of Move On, the aggressively partisan left-wing organization which once published a full-page advertisement in the New York Times slandering General David Petraeus as General David Betrayus. Last year, Move On published the title, How to Bird Dog, providing its followers... Aw, come on, man, what's going on? What the hell? Providing its followers with tips for harassing elected officials in public. Right, so all this stuff you see, like the people that were sent to like Tucker Carlson's house and stuff like that, this is all the tactics of the Weatherman Underground, right, and all that stuff. This is all comes from George Soros. All those busloads of people, like all these movements, they're saying that they're funded by people. This is the guy who funds the migrant caravan. This is the guy who launders money through various different ways to get it to these people. And he's just the biggest scumbag on earth. Soros is also a major funder of Media Matters, okay? The watchdog group founded by right-wing hitman turned left-wing hitman David Brock, whose stock in trade is the organized boycott of conservative media figures. All right, Media Matters is basically like the head of all the propaganda. It's all propaganda from Media Matters, right? They're largely funded by billionaires like George Soros. All right, so anyway, they made this dirtbag the person of the year. All right, Kershik, this guy talks about it a lot here, so you can read about that. But I mean, that's just crazy. For anyone who's into news, Financial Times names George Soros Person of the Year. Absolutely crazy. So now let's go from the absurd to what I want to call the disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. So James Comey has been in the news. He's in the hot seat right now. The biggest thing here, Comey's been with Congress, closed door, congressional hearings. Comey to Congress, who cares who paid for the anti-Trump dossier? All right, this is the guy, the former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. All right, his one job is to verify, like a major part of his job is to verify the information of these sources. And he's telling you who cares who paid for the anti-Trump dossier? Okay, Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, these people were hired by Hillary Clinton. Okay? The dossier was compiled by Christopher Steele, a former MI6 agent who basically got his intel from Russia, okay? I think from 06 to 09, he was the head of the Russia desk at MI6. So he knows people in Russia, intel people. They got all this bullshit that's been largely debunked, right? About people going to Prague, never happened. The Russian hookers pissing on beds. Like, it's crazy. all this Dossier stuff. It's absolute madness. And James Comey. All right, so Christopher Steele was an you couldn't trust him. The FBI said that they couldn't trust him, right? So he wasn't credible to the FBI because like he lied or something like to the media. So you had a source that wasn't credible giving you a dossier that wasn't verified. There's a procedure called the Woods procedure that you have to go through, like in order to verify a document. The FBI has to go through this procedure because, in other words, anyone can say anything about you and come up with a document, a dossier, paid for by someone that doesn't like you. Right? So how would you feel if that happened to you? Someone goes out and says that you did something or was involved in things that you weren't involved in. There's no evidence to prove it. The person is a known liar that goes and collects this information. And they were paid for by a person, by your political opponent, or by someone that was trying to get the same job as you, or something like that. So someone that doesn't like you hires somebody who's not trustworthy and gets this information. There's a process for the FBI to verify that information. And James Comey didn't verify that information. And it led to the investigation in everything Donald Trump and all the people around Donald Trump, including Michael Cohen and Michael Flynn. Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer for a long time. Now, if you want dirt on Donald Trump, who do you go to? His lawyer. I think he was his lawyer for 10 years. Michael Cohen made millions of dollars from being Trump's lawyer. Okay? Trump made the guy rich. Now they go in, they raid his office, they get information that he didn't do the right thing with his taxes, and he had something to do with taxi cab medallions, nothing to do with Trump. And they want to come out and say that Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to a campaign finance violation for paying off some girls that Donald Trump was with in the past. When there's precedent, the John Edwards case, right, and the fact that Donald Trump can do anything with his own money. That's not a campaign finance violation. He would win that. He would win that in court, hands down. So Michael Cohen, that's a very easable defense. He wouldn't be guilty of that crime, but they were pressuring him because the whole thing was to get dirt on Donald Trump. That was the whole reason for going after Cohen, was to get dirt on Donald Trump. So now they got Cohen by the balls, right? They got him for the tax fraud, taxi medallion problem, and they say, okay, we'll either give you 10 years for this or just give us what we want about Trump, and we'll lessen the charge. And he folded. And it still doesn't matter because it's not a campaign finance violation. They're just going after everyone that's on the Trump team. They're just going after anyone connected to Trump because that's their goal. Remember, this is the guy who outlined all of Hillary Clinton's crimes in front of you and said no reasonable prosecutor would take the case. And now he's coming out and saying that political bias doesn't matter in the information, which technically it doesn't, because just because it's biased doesn't mean it's not true, but it matters. It absolutely matters. You can't turn around and say, who cares who paid for the dossier? That's ridiculous. That's absurd. Excuse me. And then you got the whole thing with Michael Flynn. Now, there's a lot more that meets the eye with Michael Flynn. But basically what happened was, what's going on with Michael Flynn is they investigated the person and found the crime. Okay, because Michael Flynn just had his day in court. And the judge, Sullivan, came out hammering Mike Flynn. He was really pissed off at him for making this plea deal because he didn't do it. The FBI in the 302s, basically the reports of their hearing or their sit down with Michael Flynn, they said that he wasn't being dishonest. And then James Comey came out and said he was obviously being dishonest. They contradict themselves with Michael Flynn. And in the 302, they say he wasn't being dishonest or misleading. Okay, they had no reason to think that he wasn't telling them the truth. But then they charged him with lying to the FBI. And basically threatened his family, his son. They bankrupted him. It's expensive, right? The government has a bottomless pit of resources to go after you. And they got Mike Flynn in a hole. And basically what they said was, the good question was, I think it came from Trey Gowdy. Where was it? Trey Gowdy basically asked him, okay, so you knew exactly what General Flynn had said to the, right, so they had a transcript before they called Flynn in to their conversation. They told him he didn't need a lawyer, and they didn't warn him that lying to the FBI would be, he would be accountable for that, which is very unethical, all right, because this guy is like a lieutenant general, right? He's the incoming national security advisor to the Trump administration, and he opposed the Iran deal, which Obama loved, okay? So they wanted to get this guy out. They called him in, and the basis of calling him in was that he violated the Logan Act. And when they asked him that, when the Judge Sullivan asked him that, and they said that they had suspicion that he violated the Logan Act, the judge turned to them and said, "You mean the act that no one has been convicted on since its inception in like 18 something? No one's ever been convicted under the successfully convicted under the Logan Act ever, right? It basically has to do with like talking to international people, which government people do it all the time. It's unconstitutional and it's ridiculous. They had the transcripts and they said Flynn didn't show any signs of being not honest with them. But then they charged him with lying to the FBI. So the judge was pissed, and he asked Flynn like 3 times, okay, if he was sure that he wanted to plead guilty to this. Basically saying, are you sure you want to do this? Are you really sure you want to do this? And then he even went as far as to say that he would offer Flynn a lawyer to give him a second opinion. All right, so basically he was giving him every out because he knows this is bogus. And Judge Sullivan, he has a reputation of like shutting down bullshit prosecutions. Like, he's a completely objective judge, and he knows that this is a BS plea. But the real reason for Michael Flynn's guilty plea is that I think it's two big reasons. I think that the special counsel has leverage on Flynn. One, because before he was working for the White House, like way before he was working for the White House, like he did some work with Turkey, like some like accountability work or something like that with Turkey. I don't know how all that foreign stuff works, but he did something with Turkey, and they want to charge him for like a FARA violation, like a foreign agent registration violation. Like, he didn't register as a agent for a foreign country or something like that, which is like a big crime, but it probably wouldn't stand. But they have that over him. And also, I think that even the more important thing is that if Flynn fights this, they're going to have to go into like records and stuff, and the NSA is going to get involved because the special counsel abused the NSA database. Okay, they unmasked American citizens, and they abused the FISA court, right, to get the FISA warrant to spy on everybody, the Trump campaign, basically. And that was the Obama administration. He's implemented in that with the whole Loretta Lynch, Bill Clinton tarmac thing, where they omitted Obama's name from Comey's basically resignation, no, not his resignation, but his resignation of Hillary Clinton, when he basically said no reasonable prosecutor would do this. That speech was supposed to have Obama's name in it. Then they changed it to a high-level White House official, and then they just completely omitted it. So the Obama administration, they're trying to cover up for Obama because he's like the white knight of the Democratic Party. But what's going, you know, the NSA doesn't want to lose their tools of spying on people. And if Michael Flynn goes forward with this, that's all going to come out. And as he doesn't want to do that, right? And that's just the thing. He's protecting his agency as the National Security Advisor, right? As someone who is the incoming National Security Advisor. So they want to maintain those tools. And they want to keep those tools out of the public eye. Right? Because Americans don't like being spied on. So that's why Michael Flynn is pleading guilty when he's not. Because the special counsel isn't pushing jail time. So his lawyers, his shitty lawyers, are basically saying, look, just take this deal. You're not going to get jail time. You're not going to be charged with the Farah thing. And you're not going to throw the NSA under the bus. This all ends if you just plead guilty to this, right? And the special counsel likes that. But what does it have to do with Donald Trump? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay? They called him and they had the whole transcript, right, about sanctions and stuff. The whole thing is ridiculous. It is absolutely a witch hunt, okay? James Comey is a Democrat hack, okay? He's in the pocket of the Democrats and Hillary Clinton, and it's obvious, all right? And I think at the end of the day, this guy is going to be held accountable for his failure to verify those sources that led to the biggest investigation in recent American history. So James Comey is officially a piece of shit. All right. Now, if you want a really in-depth, really accurate breakdown of this whole thing with Jim Comey, I'm telling you, subscribe to the Dan Bongino Show. It's one of the best podcasts going right now. I think Bongino is like crescendoing in his career into one of the best conservative news people that are out there. I really do. He's awesome. He's a former Secret Service agent, and he's just a man. So he knows his stuff, like from the inside out. Right? And he still has people on the inside that I think feed him information. I'm not sure about that, but you know, when you're in the FBI, you make friends, and you learn a lot about the inner workings of how this all works. All right, so subscribe to his show. And yeah, James Comey's a piece of shit, and I think he's going to go down. I think at the end of the day, I think this is one of the guys from the deep state that's going to go down for something. All right, so moving on from James Boohoo, it wasn't my fault, Donald Trump's such a bully, Comey. And I did a video recently about the moral argument for the border wall, and basically what I say, my argument is that the Border Patrol executes over 4,300 like rescue missions every year. Well, at least in 2018. Sorry about that. At least in 2018 alone, 4,300 rescue missions. And the immigrants or the migrants that come up, they put themselves in dangerous situations. They come across the desert. There's human traffickers. There's drug cartels. And a lot of them die just trying to come up, like we've seen with the 7-year-old girl, which was absolutely horrible. I mean, that is just, it's sad. And people politicized it on Twitter immediately, you know, because they're trying to push their narrative that, like, the Border Patrol is bad and Donald Trump's policy on immigration is bad, and whenever they want to push their immigration stuff forward, They want to get votes on it, so they blame the Border Patrol for the little girl's death, which is disgraceful, disgusting, despicable, and the lowest of the low. I mean, they're just absolute scumbags, if you ask me. So I make the argument that the border wall is very ethical in that sense, because these migrants, a lot of them will be discouraged from coming north if they know that they're just going to meet a wall, and it encourages people to come in legally and safely. So I make the argument that the border wall is the ethical thing to do, the moral thing to do on that basis. Because the Democrat argument is that the border wall is immoral because of what it represents, right? A wall is like, we're blocking you out, like, and that's not what it is, really. It's a border. A national border is important. You can't have people just pouring into your country. It invites crime. It invites drugs, which is a huge problem with the opiates coming from South America, Central America. It's dangerous for these people. It's dangerous for the citizens here. And Bongino here puts together an article about the economic costs of illegal aliens, indirectly and directly. And he doesn't even include them all, but you could read this yourself. Just in taxes alone, like straight up, it's $12 billion per year, okay? And according to the federal government, $12 billion is not a lot of money, okay? It's pennies in the context of a federal government that will spend over $12 billion per day this year, just to put that in context, okay? But he talks about the indirect and direct costs of illegal immigration. Birthright citizenship is huge. He talks about the education is the biggest cost, okay? Educating the children of illegal immigrants is very expensive on taxpayers. Now look, I'm not making an argument that illegal immigrants are bad people. A lot of them just want to come here and work and live a good life, and I've worked with illegal immigrants. I know people who were in this country illegally, and they were awesome people. I made friends with them. We would hang out, we would go to the bar. Good people, regular people. One I actually know was deported and actually had to come back to America legally, and he did. And now I guarantee you, I don't know him anymore. After I got deported, we kind of lost touch, but I know he came back because I ran into him once, and we actually went to a diner and got breakfast. But you know, he's a lot happier being here legally. I'll tell you that much. So the educational costs are huge. The healthcare costs are huge. Okay, and he just talks about a lot of the different costs. You know, I mean, without even talking about the crime, without even talking about the opiates. You know, there's a lot of money that we spend every year on illegal aliens, and a border wall will help that out. I mean, the border wall will pay for itself. You know, if you just like, something's got to be done with immigration. Obviously, I mean, the people in America are just, we're fed up. The people around the world are fed up with migration. I mean, look at the Yellow Vest riots. Think that has to do with all about tax money and gas tax and stuff like that? No. It has to do with the people losing their culture. The rape crimes, violent crimes going up. And, you know, the people out there are just sick of it. All right, so let's get into some good news. We'll end this on a positive note, like the regular news does. So I got 4 articles here. I'll go over them quick, I promise. But thanks for hanging in. All right, so Dean Martin's "Baby It's Cold Outside" hits top 10 on digital sales for the first time ever. All right, so the recoil to the insanity, the far left insanity, is a good sign. You know, when you see Dean Martin "Baby It's Cold Outside" hitting the top 10 on digital sales charts for the first time. And obviously it's a backlash to the banning of it from radio stations and stuff like that. And I love the fact that I think it was his daughter or granddaughter or something performed the song. Must have been his granddaughter. I mean, it's just really cool to see that there's backlash to it in culture. So this warms my heart. You know, when I see things like this, I really get happy because it makes the people who push all this selective outrage on us, you know, it makes them salty. And I like it. I like it because, you know what? If you don't like the song, change the station. You know, that's how I feel. Like if there's something you don't like to hear, then don't put yourself around it. You know, like let people be them. Let people be who they are. You know, as long as you're not threatening people, as long as you're not hurting people, like physically, then you know, as long as you're not slandering people, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Baby, it's cold outside. It's a great song. What a guy Dean Martin was. You know, look at him. All right, so that warms my heart. I'll have I'll drink a hot chocolate and listen to that song and be happy. Also, this was wonderful. I was actually going to make this the amazing outlier of this segment, but there's one more that I'm going to get to that I think you'll agree with me. Hopefully. Maybe you won't agree with me, but I don't know. I just had to give bigger props to someone else for this segment. Alright, so this was absolutely hilarious. So there's people going around stealing packages. You know, it's Christmas time. A lot of packages are showing up and they leave them on the porch. I mean, anywhere you go, you're seeing vans dropping off packages from Amazon, from any website. You know what I mean? But this NASA engineer actually created a very clever package for these package thieves. All right, basically what it does is after you pick it up, a few minutes later, when you get it in your car or you're walking down the street with it, it explodes. It's a glitter bomb. Oh my god, that's hysterical. And apparently it releases like a noxious gas too with it that like really stinks. And this NASA engineer really did something good because, in my opinion, this is the free market response to package thieves. You know, what are you gonna do? Police it? No. You just don't know now if you're a package thief if one of them is gonna explode glitter all over you and make you smell like shit. It's so awesome. The video actually went viral. Last time I checked, it was like I think it was yesterday. It had like 22 million views, like in like a day. So if you haven't seen the video, I'll leave the link. You can check it out. But I thought that was awesome. What's the next one? Next good news article. Oh yes, love this one. In New York, they banned nunchaku, and it was ruled unconstitutional by a federal court. So if you live in New York and you're like me and you like to walk around in yellow tights with nunchucks, I mean, the statue of Bruce Lee is just awesome. Bruce Lee was the man. If you haven't heard the story about Bruce Lee, look into that. It's really cool. He was actually bullied in Hong Kong and decided to get into fighting to like, you know, self-defense. So he gets into martial arts, and it did such great things for him, for his confidence, for his life. Completely changed his life. I mean, you know, Bruce Lee, he was a very confident person. You know, he used to wear the shades, and he was into philosophy and working out. And he gained that confidence through martial arts. And without it, he probably would have been a suicide statistic, you know? But it completely turned his life on. So what he was doing was he was teaching people the martial art that he learned. And that was a big no-no in his dojo or whatever. You know, you're not supposed to teach outsiders the martial art. Americans or anyone outside of the Chinese or whatever it was, whatever the story was. But he actually was approached by the master of the dojo, and the master said, "You're not to teach." And Bruce Lee challenged him to a fight, and he said, "If I win, I could teach anyone I want. If I lose, I'll never come back to the dojo." So they had the fight, and I think the fight lasted 3 minutes, and for the first minute and a half, it was like back and forth. And for the second minute and a half, Bruce Lee was basically chasing the guy. The guy was in full retreat the whole time. And after the fight, people were congratulating Bruce. I think his wife or his future wife was one of the people congratulating him. Hopefully Chuck Norris was there because it would make the story that much better because they were friends. Bruce Lee was a little upset, and they asked him, "Why are you upset? You just won the fight. You won the right to teach Jeet Kune Do, I believe it was. Or I don't know what it was at the time. Maybe he learned that later, but they said, "Why are you upset? You just won the fight, whatever." And he said, "Because I should have won quicker. I should have won the fight quicker." And basically that was Bruce Lee's whole attitude. I read one of his workout books. It was really cool. And basically his philosophy was not only the whole be like water thing, but he also wanted to push himself in the gym, at least, to see what he couldn't do. Like some people go to the gym to, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He was like, I'm going to push myself until I find my limits. And I'm just going to always go there. I'm always going to find my limit. I'm always going to push myself to the breaking point. I mean, and there is a statue of the man. So, this is a win. This is a win in my book. Nunchuck ban ruled unconstitutional. Love that. I'm going to actually share this one because it's just that awesome. All right. So, I mean, hey, it's a great Christmas gift. I know it's a little late, but nunchucks are awesome. I have a pair right here. Now, for the amazing outlier of this segment, we go to the Bronx. Mom takes down would-be carjacker in New York City. This is awesome. Mom beats down car thief. I have to play this video. I haven't seen it yet. I just read the article. But let me just give you the synopsis. A 49-year-old woman drives a 2005 Honda Pilot. There's the man. There's the man. I love the president. The president is the man. Came out of nowhere and won the presidency of the United States. He is awesome. Alright, so this lady from the Bronx, what part of the Bronx? Melrose section of the Bronx. I mean, you don't mess with people in the Bronx, man. Because you don't know. A lot of these people just, they don't care. They're just going to get you, 49-year-old woman started her car, 2005 Honda Pilot, from her apartment, Melrose section of the Bronx. She was about to enter her vehicle to take her son to school and found an unwelcome surprise in the driver's seat. Right, so there was this guy, Bernardo Santiago, 19, in the driver's seat of her car, and he was fiddling around with the ignition trying to start it. The 49-year-old lady tries to get the keys, blah, blah, blah. She went to the passenger door. He shut the door on her. So she goes to the driver's side door, pulls him out of the car, threw the suspect on the ground, and held him till police arrived. And what she said was awesome. She said, "He's lucky I didn't kill him." What's that? Tahisha Jones? Tahisha Jones, amazing outlier of the day, told NBC4 New York that that's the thing. He's lucky I didn't kill him. That's hilarious. Apparently the guy was intoxicated, but let's watch this video.
This story about a mom who could have handed over her keys, but instead she took down the teen who tried to steal her SUV, holding the man half her age until police could make an arrest.
And it was quite a conversation she had with News 4's Ida Siegel. She told us she wasn't worried about herself. Tell us more, Ida, about what she told you.
Really?
Yeah, David and Stacy, the
All
woman.
right, let's just get to the video.
Dude tried to steal her car.
Mother on a mission. You're looking at
Dude tried to steal her
a
car.
woman who had just witnessed someone try to steal her car
Look at
on Brook Avenue, and she jumped into action.
I came to the side and pulled it off and tried to drag him out this way, but I couldn't get him out this way, so he closed the door to close the door on me. I jumped across the car, opened this door, and I pulled him out. And then after that, I don't know, I couldn't tell you what happened after that. I just had to do what I had to do.
Taisha Jones told us she was getting ready to take her son to school,
Hell
using
yeah.
the automatic car starter to turn the car on, and then saw the man inside it. She didn't know it, but someone was recording her
Wow,
as
look at
she
this guy.
pummeled the thief to the ground.
Good
I
for
thought he wanted
her.
to kill him. That's the thing. He's lucky I didn't kill him.
Instead, she held him there until police arrived.
Wow.
Police then took 19-year-old Bernardino Santiago into custody. Taisha had already torn off his
Taisha.
shirt during the scuffle. Were you scared for yourself?
I couldn't tell you that because I was on adrenaline. I just was worrying about Black Beauty. That's all I was worried about.
Oh, her
Taisha
car is
says
her car is
car
Black Beauty.
her lifeline, the only way she can get to her many doctor's appointments. And her car had already been broken into twice before.
Well, they just broke this window last week. Just last week they broke my window. So I guess that's what he
Look at
got
this.
a whooping for the old and the new.
Oh, that's hilarious. Anyway, this pops up about Obama, right? No jump shots, no ferns, no memes. Not this time. I'm gonna give it to you straight. If you need health insurance in 2019, the deadline to get covered is December 15th. Go on healthcare.gov today, and I'll pass this on. You just might save a life. Let me tell you something. Obamacare was just deemed unconstitutional, which basically it is. The whole thing with the tax and the penalty. So, Obama, enough is enough. You're not the president anymore. Time to fade into darkness, fade into, what do they call it, inclusivity or insignificance. Yeah, put some glasses on Barack because he's that cool, right? Don't worry, Barack. We know that your name was in that email, buddy. We know that you had Hillary Clinton was emailing you on her private server. We know that your administration had everything to do with spying on Donald Trump and the Trump campaign illegally. Worse than Watergate. Anyway, that is the profanity alert, alright? So, what do we have here? Let's just recap. Alright, Jack Dorsey, beard hair to the witch, the 11-year-old drag queen, George Soros, Person of the Year from the Financial Times. James Comey says, who cares about bias and information? Unverified information from an incredible source. Illegal aliens cost taxpayers over $100 billion annually, and that's not even considering all the money. Dean Martin hits the top 10 on the charts for the first time. We have the glitter bomb, NASA engineer, Nunchucks ban is unconstitutional, and the mom takes down the car thief. This has been Profanity Alert. If you want to get some MAGA gear, unique MAGA gear, check out AmazingOutliers.com. I got some cool stuff, some really cool hoodies. Actually got a lot of compliments on my hoodies, and the beanie caps are great for the winter. Keep America Great embroidered beanie caps. They have an American flag made out of bullets. It's a pro Second Amendment type looking hat. Really cool. Keep you really warm. I washed it a few times. Quality is really good. So check that out. And geez, probably be more news. That's all we're getting. It's just a waterfall of news. So, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I'll pick out some more. Alright, I'll put the links to the articles in the video if you want to read them yourself. Until next time, Outliers.